the Sustainable Development Goals, including climate action, and he had championed his country's trailblazing green hydrogen projects. A strong believer in women's rights who promoted women in public life, and a proud African and multilateralist whose presence was strongly felt at the United Nations and who advocated for our continent on the world stage. All of us best honor his memory by following his example and continuing his work, by championing the principles he lived by: anti-racism, justice, democracy, solidarity, and human rights for everyone, and dedicating ourselves to putting them into effect and building on this strong foundation. President Geingob leaves a gaping hole in many lives and in the hearts of Namibians, but he has also left behind a rich bank of wisdom and of memories that we can all hold on to and build. On behalf of the United Nations, our sincere condolences once again to the people of Namibia, the government, and to President Geingob's family, but particularly to my sister, Monica Gingos, who has long been a friend in the fight for economic justice, health rights, and an ally to the voice of youth in Namibia and beyond. President Geingob, to you I say, we will always cherish the memory of a gentle giant with a wonderful warmth, an exceptional sense of humor. At the last General Assembly, we joked that I had more grandchildren than he did. But he had, most of all, a burning commitment to a better world for everyone. May your soul rest in perfect peace, and may you soar high on the wings of angels. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency, Deputy Secretary General, for your tribute. I would like to invite the Right Honourable Patricia Scotland, Secretary General of the Commonwealth.
Excellencies, Mr. President of the Republic of Namibia, Madam Vice President, Madam Prime Minister, heads of government, honourable ministers, President Geingob's family, particularly his First Lady, our beloved and much cherished Monica Gingos, my friend and my sister. Friends, colleagues, compatriots, fellow mourners. There is an African proverb which says, "You must judge a man by the work of his hands." By that measure, from everything we have heard today, the third President of the Republic of Namibia Dr. Hage Geingob was great indeed. He has left his mark on Namibia, on Africa, on the Commonwealth, and the world. We have lost a giant, and we have also lost a friend. He is mourned across all of our 56 countries of the Commonwealth. 2.5 billion people, 60% of whom are under the age of 30, weep with us today. And I will miss his guidance and comradeship, and all of our heads of state will miss him too. From our first meeting to our last, his optimistic vision for the Commonwealth, his view of an independent nations in an interdependent world never failed to inspire. As you all know, I am not just the Secretary General of the Commonwealth. I am at heart a lawyer, and we lawyers like evidence. So what evidence do we have about my dear friend and brother, Dr. Geingob, our beloved Hage? Why was Hage great? Underneath that gentle voice and infectious smile lay a powerful force for good, a driving force for change and progress, a shining embodiment of what it means to live by your principles. Why was Hage unique? His determination to live by the principles of equality, his willingness to challenge injustice, and as we all know, sometimes that got him into trouble. At 19, he was expelled from school for protesting the poor quality of education and food. Trouble also meant 27 years, long years, in exile. Why was Hage a patriot? His fidelity to the motherland and his continuous courage enabled him to not only contribute to the nation he loved, but to shape it. He led the work of the United Nations Institute for Namibia, as we have all heard, to create and train the future civil service for the independent nature for which he dreamed. And in doing so, we've heard today how he inspired leaders from across this region. His patriotism enabled him to spearhead the campaign which catapulted SWAPO into power, and which saw him take office as the first Prime Minister of the Namibia he helped to liberate. Why was Hage faithful to the rule of law? Because it was the basis upon which he helped craft a robust constitution for Namibia, which still governs this great country today. he crafted it well. Why was Hage a statesman? Because his resilience, inspired leadership, helped this magnificent country first to function, then to thrive, and in his own words, helped the Namibian people work together, build together, and dream together. He lived in love and loyalty to his country, his wife, and his family, and he never forgot his friends. Why was Hage a towering figure? Because he held high the banner of liberty. Hage Gottfried Geingob was generous, energetic, intelligent, nurturing, God-fearing, obedient to the law, and a bold leader. And whilst he may have departed this mortal stage, his vision for Namibia, Africa, the Commonwealth, and the world lives on and will outlast us all. In his absence, pursuit of that vision becomes our sacred responsibility. So we honor his memory, not with tears of sorrow. Dear Hage, none of us here are going to be crybabies, not today, but with a renewed commitment to the ideals for which he stood and fought. Namibia, our country. Namibia, his love. Namibia, the motherland. We love thee. Hage Gottfried Geingob loved thee. May his soul rest in peace, and may the light of his legacy shine on to guide us all forward for a brighter future. And my dear brother, my dear friend, may the Lord bless and keep you. May he make his face to shine on you and be merciful unto you. And may your guardian angel walk beside you. And may Jesus keep you safe in the very palm of his hand until we meet again. And may God comfort our beloved sister, Monica. May he bless her for sharing this great son of the soil with us. And may God bless the Republic of Namibia and all of her people. And I thank you.
Excellency, Ms. Scott, for your tribute. I would like to acknowledge the presence of Mr. Raila Odinga, the former Prime Minister of the Republic of Kenya. Welcome, Honorable Prime Minister, and thank you very much for joining us today. Next on the program is the tribute by Madam Monica Geinkos, the widow of our departed president, Dr. Hage Geingob, and I would like to invite the representative of Ms. Geinkos to take the podium and deliver the tribute of the widow.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Your Excellency, Comrade President Angola Mbumba, and my dear First Lady, Madam Siski Mbumba, Your Excellency, founding President and founding Father of the Namibian nation, Tatekuru Samsa Fishuna Nyoma and Mekuru, Your Excellency, Second President of the Republic of Namibia, Comrade Ifikepunye Pohamba, and our incredible former First Lady Mekuru Penekhupi for Pohamba, Your Excellencies, heads of state and government present, and First Ladies who are present as well, please allow me to stand on the protocol established. I'm a very proud Namibian today. I'm proud because, thank you. I'm proud because a boy who was born under a tree at a cattle post in Grootfontein is being recognized and loved by the world. And he deserves it. Because Hage loved, and he was loved. The outpouring of grief since his passing is a testament to how deeply he was loved. For us to be joined by so many dignitaries from all over the world, including so many presidents, all of whom he regarded as his friends, speaks to his ability to make enduring connections. Hage connected easily to people, and people from all walks of life connected easily to him. I remember being in a holding room, and former President of Nigeria, President Buhari, who generally appeared like a soft-spoken person, was standing alone, quietly minding his own business. Hage walked over to him, and within 2 minutes, I heard a roar of laughter. I turned around, assuming it was Hage, as he was such a joyful person. But to my surprise, the roar was coming from President Buhari, and Hage was quietly giggling next to him. His sincerity had a way of connecting with everyone. That same sincerity of his has united us in grief from across oceans, throughout the continent, and in every corner of Namibia. Hage, the internationalist, the Pan-African, the proud Namibian, the family man, the father to many, the joyful giver, the man who spoke of the Namibian house, a house where we pull together in the same direction, a house with a strong foundation. In mourning Hage, Namibia became everything he wanted us to be: united, law-abiding, and pulling in the same direction. In his death, Hage truly came alive. As he transitioned out of the limits set by his earthly body, we also transcended the political, racial, and ethnic boundaries we sometimes impose on ourselves. Hage was dedicated to building an inclusive, united Namibia that lived up to its potential. He wanted the country's integration of cultures and the lack of tribalism he was raised in. He wanted to see the same integration and unity in his blended family. He and I, Mangaliso, Helmut, Nangi, Oshoveli, Dangos, Nino, Junior, and Kayla, as well as many of his sons and daughters that he took as his own. The love and unity you see in our blended family are a testament to his leadership skills, even at the family level. Hage was our North Star. When we looked at him, we knew in which direction to go. He may no longer be with us, but he did leave us with a map that has clear directions. Many told me this week that they felt lost, orphaned, fatherless. Some feel like they lost a baobab tree that shielded them from the sun, their protector, their defender, and mentor. I feel the same. I feel like I no longer have my anchor. I feel that if Hage died, what am I doing here? But the answer is in Hage's name. Hage means the one who arrived. Gottfried, as German-speaking people know, it means God's friend. President Pohamba, President Tshisekedi, they loved calling him Gottfried. Gottfried means God's friend. And he loved to tell us that G in Geingob stood for big, and that nobody must ever try to reduce him. God's friend arrived on this earth on 3rd of August, 1941. He conquered the big things his surname required of him. And when his time was up, he left. Like he did, it's up for us to define our purpose and live up to it before our time is up. When you become what your name suggests, in some languages, in English, it's called normative determinism. Hage was indeed the one who arrived. He arrived on God's time and he left on God's time. God's will is not our will. Described as a destiny shaper by somebody who knew him well, he contributed significantly to shaping this country's destiny and that of many individuals. Hage was raised by his grandparents, Lucia and Hans. Like most children raised by old people, Hage was an old soul with a youthful spirit. He called his mother Rosalia, Osi, which means sister, and it was old Lucia who he regarded as his mother. He told me that when he was young, that old Lucia never believed he could do anything wrong. Love was foundational to his high level of confidence. Hage had confidence and courage. He was always a leader. I remember when he joined Twitter in 2014, and the young people will remember this. Young people asked him to follow them, and his answer was, and I quote, "I'm a leader, not a follower." He was joking, but you needed to listen carefully sometimes to Hage's jokes, as often he used a joke to soften a hard truth, and he actually meant it. Hage was indeed a leader. He was not a follower. He marched to the beat of his own drums, and like a true leader, he spent political capital on issues that he knew were for the greater good in the long term, even if it was unpopular in the short term. I've always admired his ability to understand complex problems quickly. While others found a problem for every solution, Hage always found a solution for every problem. He was such a good problem solver that often he would turn a casual conversation into a solution-finding exercise, even though you did not ask him for a solution. Remember I said that he was an old soul with a youthful spirit. At 19, Hage was a teacher, when being a teacher was simultaneously being a respected community leader. You immediately became a church elder, taught Sunday school, and commanded respect. He always laughed at how he had to counsel married couples when he barely knew anything about relationships. Another leadership experience he always narrates was how, on his way into exile, he had the privilege of meeting and being guided by the great Hosea Kutako, a meeting that he always spoke about as an immense privilege, and which I suspect drove his desire to build a shrine to enhance the knowledge of current and future generations about the greatness of Hosea Kutako. Hage was not only a leader, but he was generous in recognizing the leadership of others. But I digress. We all heard his eulogy. Hage was always in a position of power, whether as a teacher, a young man, or a president much later in life. and with the full confidence of President Nyoma, Hage has wielded power for most of his life. For a powerful man, Hage was very humble. But like all powerful men, he was also very complex. But within his complexity was simplicity, authenticity, consistency, and vulnerability. This is what made him a people's person. He had a heart for people, and people had a heart for him. And I want to thank his brother, the President of the Republic of Namibia, for according him the hero's funeral that he deserves. I'd like to also thank all of you for giving him a send-off befitting of a hero. My husband was an honest man, a man who spoke his mind, even when it was inconvenient and uncomfortable to do so. He's blunt when discussing third terms and leaders who overstay their welcome. In reflection, Hage and I were informed by doctors on 16 January 2024 that he had cancer after a biopsy. We went to our first oncology visit on the 17th of January to devise a treatment plan. And on 18 January, he insisted on releasing a press statement notifying the public that he had cancer. Did he know how long he had to live? The answer is no, he didn't. His passing was traumatizing and unexpected. He was eager to retire. We had such plans. And true to his word, he didn't overstay. In the last few months, he spoke often about ensuring a smooth transition. And even though he left too early, the transition was smooth. It's just not the one that he expected. His concern about abrupt departures always centered around smooth transition and ensuring that there were no power vacuums. The country swore in a new president on the same day he passed, and there was no power struggle. We should be proud of ourselves and our political leadership. And that's both from the governing party and our opposition. If there was a display of political maturity, it was in that moment, and long may it continue. Many people can tell you where and what they were doing when they heard that Hage Geingob was no more. I'll tell you where I was. I was at his side, shocked to the deepest part of my core that someone so full of life, so full of love, had just taken his last breath. Death will humble you. We are not called by our Maker when it's convenient for us or those who love us. We are called when the Lord so decides. It's been raining since Hage passed away. Yesterday, when his coffin was outside Casa Rosalia, which is our private residence, the sun appeared briefly from behind the clouds and shone straight on his coffin. When I walked back into Casa Rosalia and sat down, the clouds had returned and there was a rainbow. These things do not happen by coincidence. That's the Lord telling us we lost a great man. Hage's passing is a reminder to all of us to be prepared. I was not ready to lose Hage. And from the massive outpouring of collective grief from all of you, it does not appear that any of us were ready. Hage wore his heart on his sleeve, and in response, this country wept. The scenes we saw yesterday were heartbreaking and heartwarming in equal measure. A nation united in grief but celebrating their departed president. Hage's transparency has helped us in more ways than one. And because he spoke to us so often about his preferences regarding his legacy and expectations from us as his immediate family, it was easy to reach a consensus on key decisions. Please go and update your wills. Speak to your family about your preferences, because death knocks unexpectedly. Funeral arrangements and decisions surrounding death are made by people who are grieving, and relationships can be tested. And I want to thank my blended family and extended relatives of the Geingob family for passing this very difficult relationship test. Since the morning of the 4th of February, a dull ache settled into my stomach, and it has remained there to date. Grief unleashes anarchy in your system as your mind, emotions, and body simply do as they please, when they please. 1 minute you're walking and talking, and the next moment you are gasping for air as a wave of intense sadness washes over you. When you lose someone we love, we lose a piece of ourselves. And the closer you are, the bigger that piece. And Hage gave so much of himself that we all had a piece of him. And may we all be consoled. Hage's brothers, Peter Kachavivi, President Bumba, and his sister, First Lady Siski Mbumba, have been with us as the Geingob family since this nightmare started and have not left our side since. The peace they lost of Hage was big, and despite their grief, they focused on keeping us whole. First Lady Siski sat with me at the hospital during the day and brought me soup in the evening because my children went to report me that I was not eating. Many years ago, she told me that if I was ever in trouble with Hage, which was often, I should say, "Oh, Hage ba achaba." And one day I found myself in trouble and I said, "Ay, oh, Hage ba achaba." And he laughed so hard, he forgot that he was supposed to be annoyed with me. And he asked me, "Was it Siski or Beans who told you that?" And I said it was Siski. So he says, "Okay, next time, when you want to escape consequences, you should say, 'Oh, Hage ba kei achaba.'" The Vice President, Her Excellency Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah, has also saved me. When I got back from the morgue that morning, I walked into the house for the first time as a widow, and the abbess immediately tried to swallow me. She lifted me from the floor where I had fallen and spoke to me in a stern, reassuring, and compassionate voice. She prevented me from sinking deeper into the darkness that constantly lurks, and we must be grateful for the leadership that we have in this country. There was an old man on TV. I think he was from Kunene. He was crying. He said he needed to travel to Windhoek to bury his president. And as I watched, I cried with him. What can I say to all of you, Namibians and non-Namibians all over the world who've mourned Hage like he's yours? In many ways he was. Hage never wanted to be owned. He belonged to all of us. He accepted that, and as a family, we accepted that too. I'm not the same person I was before this nightmare started. I'm not even sure who I am without Hage's constant love. All I know is that I see many things very differently now, and we all should. We came to a near emotional standstill, and perhaps this is the time to press a reset button on how we relate to each other as individuals, families, and citizens. Death brought us together, no matter what our differences were before it, and it's love, our shared love for this country, that will keep us together. And there's a duality to love and grief. Love is replaced by grief, and grief is replaced by love. We mourn because we loved. I saw many broken people, particularly those who worked with Hage. And the pain was deep because the connection was equally deep. I've not ruled out seeking mental health support to cope, and I would encourage anybody who's struggling to shake off the feelings of sadness and loss to do the same, particularly the people who continue to work at the presidency. Hage's ordeal put me in the front row of the devastating impact of cancer. It also required that I spend a lot of time with many incredible Namibian doctors in the last few weeks. All of the doctors I interacted with are concerned about the rising cases of cancer in Namibia and what appears to be a global phenomenon. A few mentioned that they were pleased to see an increase in men looking to be screened for cancer once the president announced that he had cancer. The WHO recently announced a frightening projection of a rise of 77% in cancer cases by the year 2050. If anyone is watching megatrends in public health care, cancer care, particularly the inequities that define it, should be a priority focus area. It certainly will be for me. I want to thank all the healthcare workers who helped us during this difficult period. Everyone went over and above the call of duty, and to the staff in the presidency, at CASA, the private office, security, medical protocol, all I can do is thank you for the love you showed and continue to show our beloved Hage, and us as a family, and much respect to how you continue to perform your duties despite your grief. This extends to all of you, the dignitaries present today, and everyone who's mourned Hage. The singing and celebration of life have comforted us as we are sure that Hage was loved, and through our collective memories, he'll live forever. President Nyoma, President Pohamba, we love you. We will not wait until you leave us to tell you how important you are and that you are our heroes. Hage was because you were. Even though Hage has left us, the legacy continues. O Hageba, ke Ageba. You defined love. You are loved by all of us, and nothing will ever be the same without you. The people's president, my husband, my best friend. You were born a peasant and died a president. Rest in power, August. Thank you.
Madam Geingob, for that very moving yet inspiring tribute to your husband and our president. We are indeed inspired and comforted by the fact that in spite of the pain and sorrow, you remain strong. May you be comforted and be strengthened by the Almighty, together with your family. Now I continue with the program, and the next item is now statement by His Excellency Dr. Nangolo Mbuba, President of the Republic of Namibia, Commander-in-Chief of the Namibian Defense Force, and Chief Mourner. I invite Dr. Mbuba, Your Excellency, sir.
Please let us sit down. Right Honorable Sarah Kugongerwa Madira, Prime Minister and Director of this ceremony, together with Comrade Franz Kapofi, Minister of Defense and Veteran Affairs. Madam Monica Geingob, the Geingob children, grandchildren, and extended family. Your Excellencies, Head of States and Government, Your Royal Highnesses, and other foreign dignitaries present. Your Excellency Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah, Vice President of the Republic of Namibia. Your Excellency Dr. Sam Shafishuna Nujoma, Founding President of the Republic of Namibia, of the SWAPO Party, and father of the Namibian nation. Your Excellency Dr. Hifikepunye Pohamba, Second President of the Republic of Namibia. Your Excellencies, former heads of state and government, Honorable John Mutorwa, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Works and Transport, Honorable Professor Dr. Peter Hichevi Kachavivi, Speaker of the National Assembly, Honorable Lucas Sinimbo Muha, Chairperson of the National Council, Your Lordship Peter Shivute, Chief Justice, Madam Seski Mbumba, my dear wife, Honorable Ministers and Deputy Ministers, Comrade Sophia Nahangwa Shaningwa, Secretary General of the SWAPO Party, Honorable McHenry Venani, President of the Popular Democratic Movement, and Leader of the official opposition, Honorable Members of Parliament, Governors, Mayors, Distinguished Service Chiefs, our revered Bishop Emeritus Dr. Zivania Kameta, Gaubi Emmanuel Gassep, Chairperson of the Council of Traditional Leaders, all religious and traditional leaders, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, representatives of the media houses, fellow mourners. I know President Hage Geingob will be happy the way we started on time. I am not too sure whether he will be happy that we have to spend 7.5 hours at a memorial service. But being a Geingob, loving big things, let us do it. I'm going to read my statement as prepared because the directors of ceremony have been so generous. I hope they will also be generous with me. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, 3 weeks ago, on the 4th of February 2024, Namibia and the world at large woke up to a shock that was seismic in scale and in impact. On that fateful day, a towering baobab tree, which had become a permanent fixture in the daily lives of Namibians, was uprooted and fell. It was the day that the nation let out a loud cry of loss and anguish, which echoed across the wide open spaces of our landscape and reached outwards to the heavens. Still reeling from shock and shaken by the cruelty and abruptness of this immeasurable loss, we are faced with the somber reality and the responsibility of memorializing the life of an extraordinary human being in President Hage G Geingob. We therefore celebrate the remarkable life of a loved father and a president whose personality and aura encapsulate the essence of what we can only call a larger-than-life personage. It is often said that true greatness is shown through one's works and actions, the way in which you impact the lives of others. This is true of our departed President Geingob. It is in this sense that we have all gathered here today to celebrate the life of an extraordinary leader and the citizens whose life work, whose lifetime commitment, devotion, and sacrifices have left an enduring mark on the lives of millions of people. Namibians at home and abroad are profoundly grateful for the presence of your excellencies and other dignitaries from all over the world who are here with us today to express deep and sincere friendship, and support during this difficult time of our sorrow. Your esteemed presence speaks loudly to your solidarity with the people of Namibia and reaffirms the foundation of President Geingob's guiding principles for our foreign policy, namely that Namibia is a friend to all and an enemy to none. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, and fellow Namibians, once again, I welcome you and thank you for your comforting presence. President Hage G Geingob was destined for greatness. His birth and subsequent christening as Hage, meaning he has arrived, was a foreshadowing of the arrival into this world of a man who bravely traversed the perilous odyssey of destiny to etch his name in the annals of history as an intergenerational icon, an intellectual giant, and a consummate statesman who scaled the walls of excellence to the zenith of his life's purpose. Not only was Comrade Geingob a most distinguished luminary of our time, a peerless personality, and a colossus of a contemporary leadership, but he was also a man who lived a life of destiny and purpose. Iconic in so many aspects, Comrade Geingob was able to represent the spirit of hopes, dreams, and aspirations of Namibians. His paternal nature radiated during times of celebration as well as times of tribulations. An external and eternal optimist, he was always there to celebrate a victory for our national sports teams, athletes, musicians, academics, or any other Namibian who made her or his mark on the national, regional, international arena. Similarly, during difficult times such as devastating droughts, floods, and the dreadful days of the COVID-19 pandemic, Comrade Geingob reassured the Namibian House and quelled our fears, panic, and anger. He showed us how to persevere in the face of adversity, demonstrated grace, courage, faith, and resilience. Comrade Geingob was not just a president. To us Namibians, he was a father, a grandfather, a brother, and an uncle. He was a comrade and a friend. To his dearest wife, Monica Geingob, our beloved Flon, we still have to call you Flon, he was a dearest of husbands. He was a leader of our people who at the same time was also a servant of our people. He was a teacher and a mentor, stern and strict, but also loving and fair. He demanded excellence because his brilliant life embodied excellence and service to others. He was an authentic thinker who had a penchant for conceptualizing new ideas and realizing illustrious feats. He was that helping hand in times of despair. He was that symbol of resilience and strength in times of weakness. He pointed us toward the light at the end of the tunnel. He was our president indeed when our nation found itself in need. A man of great humility and acute discernment, Comrade Geingob found could fit in anywhere and talk to anyone. He could relate to the youthful and the elderly. He could share a joke with a junior staff member, a public sector manager, and an average citizen, a captain of industry or with one of his contemporaries. His unifying nature was impactful, both in Namibia and across the continent. The quintessential Pan-Africanist, there are many instances in SADC, the African Union, the United Nations, when Comrade Geingob's ability to unify came to the fore in a most timely manner. One such instance that I particularly want to recall was in 2018 when Comrade Geingob was invited to speak at the Kenyan Heroes Day event. Instead of reading his prepared speech, Comrade Geingob noticed the restlessness of the crowd. He seized the opportunity to forge friendship and peace. He took President Uhuru Kenyatta and the opposition leader, His Excellency Raila Odinga, by their hands and walked with them toward the stage, hands aloof, notifying unity. The crowd cheered as President Geingob turned a tense situation into an extraordinary demonstration of unity. I am glad His Excellency President Odinga is here. Raila Odinga is here. You can check the story and verify it. A man of peace and a man of the moment. A man who lived by his favorite dictum: one does not make peace with one's friends. One makes peace with one's enemy. President Geingob exudes the nation-building ethos that were underscored by his mantras, namely, no Namibia should feel left out. The other one Namibia, one nation. And the other one, the spirit of Harambee, the last which connotes pulling in the same direction. He made it clear that a nationalist should abhor the isms of tribalism, racism, and regionalism. He postulated that a true revolutionary cannot possibly be a tribalist or a racist. At the core of Comrade Geingob's leadership success was his strength of character and integrity. He lived with honesty, staying true to his values and upholding his moral principles, even when faced with challenges. One of his many doctrines was to never compromise on principles, because, according to him, and I quote, a principle half compromised is a principle compromised. President Geingob stood firm in his beliefs and was unafraid to do the right thing, regardless of the consequences. His actions reflected his words, earning him the trust and respect of those around him and the Namibian people. He would always tell us that transparency plus accountability equal trust. Certainly, in the world characterized by secrecies, fake news, and mistrust, Comrade Geingob was a beacon of hope and a true representative of the universally recognized ideals of democracy. In order to fully understand the reason that made Comrade Hage G Geingob the man he was, one must trace his foundations back to his roots. For the essence of his greatness lies not only in his achievements, but the qualities that underpin them. These qualities were forged during Comrade Geingob's childhood by his grandfather and mentor, Hans Geingob, about whom he always reminisced with fondness. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, As I stated, the iconic Comrade Hage Geingob rose from humble beginnings. He was born on the 3rd of August, 1941, in the district of Grootfontein, in the region of Ochodonjupa. He grew up on the farms of that area and commenced his schooling in Otavi in the year 1948. In those days, people start school much later, 7 years. He was brought up in the multi-ethnic environment, which consists of people from various ethnic groups, among them Damaras, son of a Herero, Vakavango, Awambo, and of Mbundu. This environment provided the proper setting in molding Comrade Geingob's beliefs and stance against racism and tribalism. In 1958, Comrade Geingob left Grootfontein area to attend Augustinum College in Okahanja. It was at Augustinum that the first political seeds were planted in Comrade Geingob. Following the successful completion of his study, Comrade Geingob was posted to Tsumeb as a teacher, where he officially joined SWAPO in 1962 and received his membership card from SWAPO branch secretary, then Comrade Kanana Hishono. It was in the same year, 1962, that Comrade Geingob learned that Comrades Ifikepunye Pohamba and Leander Matare were jailed in Windhoek and due to be deported to the north. As they were on their way to the north, Comrade Geingob and Comrade Dinekela Karenga went to meet them at the Tsumeb bus station. Comrade Pohamba mentioned this already. The two of them, that is Comrade Pohamba and Comrade Geingob, never forget how they met, how they looked, and I have no doubt that that's also the reason why Comrade Pohamba later appointed Comrade Geingob to be his vice president. That is my own interpretation. Later on, that same year, Comrade Geingob and his fellow comrades traveled to Gobabis with the intention of crossing the border into Botswana for exile. Before they could proceed, they were informed that the revered chief Jose Akutako was also in the area. Upon hearing this, they went to visit the chief and received his blessings for the journey. To Comrade Geingob, it was an extraordinary honor to have met with the exceptional revolutionary and nationalist chief Jose Akutako, after whom Jose Akutako International Airport is named. It is for this reason that Comrade Geingob resolved at the second land conference held in October 2018 to honor our national heroes and heroines through the establishment of monuments and shrines. In this regard, he ensured completion of the Chief Jose Akutako Shrine at To Assis, Aminius constituency in the Omaheke region. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, throughout his time in exile, the experience of Comrade Geingob helped shape his views and understanding of the world during the Cold War era. Like many of his fellow Namibians, Comrade Geingob left his home country to go into exile to obtain education and to galvanize diplomatic and military support for our liberation struggle. Indeed, he was shaped by the liberation struggle. In 1964, the president of SWAPO, Comrade Sam Nujoma, appointed the young Hage Geingob as chief representative of the SWAPO party in the Americas, as it was already said. Comrade Geingob was later assigned as a political affairs officer at the United Nations Council for Namibia. A few years later, then he became the director of UN Institute for Namibia. That institute prepared Namibians for independence and produced some of the country's talented crop present in the Namibian executive, legislature, judiciary, business, and civic spheres. Again, he was chosen by President Nujoma and the SWAPO leadership to lead the exiled Namibians home under the UN Resolution 435. It was an unforgettable moment in our Namibia's history when he kneeled to kiss the ground after touching down at Hosea Kutako International Airport on the 18th of June, 1989. Comrade Geingob had come full circle. He had made his journey back home victoriously, ushering in the epoch of self-determination. Your Excellencies, following the successful United Nations supervised election in Namibia in 1989, Comrade Geingob was nominated by the SWAPO party and elected as the chairperson of the Constituent Assembly that was responsible for the drafting of the Namibian Constitution. The drafting of our Constitution was a great feat and a testament to the negotiating prowess of Comrade Hage Geingob, who was able to ensure that all those involved in the process were able to accomplish the task. In that way, they planted the seed of our national reconciliation. On the 31st of March, 1990, Comrade Geingob was appointed by the founding president, Dr. Nujoma, and sworn in as the first prime minister, a position he held for 12 long years. During that period, he set up a unified, modern, and well-functioning public service in Namibia. One of the best ways we can honor Comrade Geingob is for all of us to continue executing our mandates on the basis of accountability, transparency, honesty, and commitment. We should understand that as our dearly departed president used to say, without effective governance and without crucial governance fundamentals, development cannot take place. Excellencies, following a historic victory in November 2014 presidential elections, Comrade Geingob was sworn in on the 21st of March 2015 as the third president of the Republic of Namibia. Who can forget that moment today? Who can forget that momentous day? Who can forget those poignant words? And I quote, I'm sorry I don't have the quality of his voice. I wish I had. This is the day the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. With that recitation of Psalm 118, verse 24, Comrade Geingob prophetically summed up not only his presidency, but the entire journey of his life. Comrade Geingob did not waste any time and immediately outlined his vision of shared prosperity for Namibia. He made it clear to his new cabinet that they had entered into a social contract with the people of Namibia, and he stated, and I quote, "The second phase of the struggle is well and truly underway. We need to make haste and fire the first salvo in unison, in the spirit of Harambee. This is why I have declared all-out war on poverty, making it a priority to remove our most vulnerable citizens from the cruelty grip of hunger, homelessness, and squalor. The focus of this administration is therefore to address the prevailing inequalities in the socio-economic architecture. This will involve looking at a range of choices on how to go about redressing a myriad of imbalances which exist due to the policies of past systems which promoted racial exclusion." End of quote. The legacy of Comrade Geingob is premised on this inclusive vision, which we must continue to pursue with the same determination and unrelenting work ethic that he displayed throughout his life. Excellencies, like with many scenarios in Comrade Geingob's life, things did not come easy, and neither was Geingob's presidency. From the moment he walked through the halls of State House, he had to deal with a myriad of economic challenges, unprecedented droughts, and also had to deal with the devastating impacts of COVID-19. Coupled with that, he faced an unrelenting barrage of political attacks from many quarters. However, like the indomitable lion he was, he withstood all challenges and remained steadfast and resolute in his quest to promote economic recovery and growth, employment creation, and the provision of basics such as housing. He championed with exceptional skill the cause of the poor and vulnerable. He championed the cause of the elderly, the children, the youth, the women, the veterans of the liberation struggle. Throughout his presidency, Comrade Geingob prioritized the key economic intervention through the Harambee Prosperity Plan 1 and 2, with the objective to give momentum to Namibia's economic growth, creating productive employment for our people, particularly for the unemployed youth. At this juncture, let me re-emphasize that we will ensure that the policy of Comrade Geingob will be pursued until they achieve their intended purpose, that of achieving shared prosperity for all Namibians as part of the second struggle for economic emancipation. Excellencies, on the international front, as the chief diplomat of our country, President Geingob worked tirelessly to pursue regional and international peace. As chairman of SADC and later as chairperson of the SADC Troika, he mediated the conflicts in the Democratic Republic of Congo, Republic of Mozambique, Kingdom of Lesotho, Kingdom of Eswatini, the Republic of Madagascar, and provided wise counsel. At the African Union, he was a champion of Africa's cause for the reform of the United Nations Security Council and representation as equal partners in the Security Council. He firmly believed in the solidarity and brotherhood of nations as members of the United Nations, to whom he ascribed Namibia's independence under the motto, and I quote, "Namibia is a child of international solidarity, midwifed by the United Nations," end of quote. He always advocated for justice, self-determination, and independence, which he viewed as sacrosanct for all human beings. This was the driving force behind his championing the cause of the people of the Sahrawi Arab Democratic Republic, the people of Palestine, as well as Cuba, Venezuela, and Zimbabwe, who continue to suffer from unjust sanctions. President Geingob was adamant to the very end that these nations have the right to enjoy their economic freedom and sovereignty without interference from others. Let me state that Namibia's voice will not be silent in championing these causes. In fact, galvanized by the fervent spirit of President Geingob, we will continue to amplify these sentiments on the international stage. President Geingob was a living testament of international and Pan-African solidarity, undoubtedly giving his many talents and gifts. He will go down in history as a diplomat as well as a peacemaker. Excellencies, the President of China, His Excellency Xi Jinping, once said, and I quote, "The family is the basic unit of society and the first school that we attend in life," end of quote. Certainly, throughout his life, Comrade Geingob placed an emphasis on family. The first school he attended was that of family, under the tutelage of his beloved grandfather, Hage Geingob. Truly, the Geingob family will continue to be strong because it is built on a foundation of respect, loyalty, and love. I therefore pay tribute to Madame Monica Geingob, a graceful wife, a mother who is an epitome of loving and loyal spouse, staying by the side of her beloved husband, giving him her devoted care and support to the very end. I also want to commend the children for their constant display of love and affection for a father who also loved them dearly. Lastly, to the entire extended Geingob family, we thank you profoundly for having produced such an admirable freedom fighter, a brave son of the soil who climbed to the highest heights to become the third president of the Republic of Namibia. On behalf of the people and the government of the Republic of Namibia, I extend our deepest condolences to the family for the loss of a husband, a father, a brother, an uncle, a mentor, Comrade Hage G Geingob. As I move to the conclusion, I wish to address our cherished departed president, our friend, our brother, our comrade, to some of us, our appointing authority. Dear Comrade Geingob, from the beginning of your presidency to the very end, you, the patriotic first citizen, the staunch Pan-Africanist, the peacemaker and unifier, led with your heart, your intellect, and your conscience. You led with courage and conviction and left us a template for success by reminding us that inclusivity spells harmony and exclusivity spells conflict. You have left us the foundation for continued peace and unity. You have left us with processes, systems, and institutions for an effective governance architecture. You have left us with an economic roadmap towards prosperity. I remember that you always gave me the letter that contained the power for me to act on your behalf. But before your medical trip to the US, I received the letter a day earlier. I remember our final conversation on the tarmac of the airport and on board of the plane when you told me twice, "Take care And again, take care. Those words have entrenched themselves in my mind since that day. I understand that as a father figure you were trying to tell the rest of us to take care of your beloved Namibia, the country in which you were born, the country for which you risked your life, the country you loved and served, the only country you and us could call home. I will never forget when you used to say, and I quote, "It is easy to destroy, but difficult to build." You always cared for Namibia like a devoted father. You loved this country and her people from the bottom of your heart. I believe that you can see us here today, and you have been hearing us speaking. I believe that throughout these 3 weeks since the fateful day of your passing, you have seen and heard what was said at various memorials, both in Namibia and abroad. So let me take this moment, my dear brother, my dear senior brother and leader, to tell you that we will definitely take care. We will take care of Namibia's democracy, unity, and the rule of law. We will take care of our peace and stability. We will take care of our sovereignty and independence. We will take care of our children, our youth, our women, our men, our elderly, and our veterans. We will take care of the processes and systems and institutions. We will take care of one another, and most importantly, we will take care of your enduring legacy, the Namibia House of Shared Prosperity, where no one feels left out. Dear Comrade Geingob, although you are gone from our midst, you will never truly die. Your impact on us has been profound. Your footprint on this nation is immense and will stand the test of time. You leave our country in a better shape. Like a fallen baobab tree, your branches, your leaves, and your seeds will ensure that your legacy lives on. You once told us, and I quote, "You will miss me once I'm gone." How right you were. You fought your battles and won. You have answered the call of our Creator. As you ride off into the sunset, victorious but magnanimous, we say to you, go well, Your Excellency. Go well, Comrade President. As your name, Hage, reminds us, you were the one who arrived. You are the one who has gone ahead of us, preparing the way and leaving behind a legacy that will last through the ages. Your great name, Hage G Geingob, will not die. It will remain forever etched in our hearts and on the granite and marble stones of Namibia. 1 Corinthians 15, verse 43. Our bodies are buried in brokenness, but they are raised in glory. They are buried in weakness, but they will be raised in strength. Therefore, rest now softly, and my God Almighty raise you in glory and strength. Farewell, my dear friend. Farewell, my dear brother. Farewell, our beloved President. Long live the memory of Dr. Hage G Geingob. Long live the Republic of Namibia. and I thank you for your kind attention.
During this time of mourning and sorrow, we extend our heartfelt condolences to Madam Monica Geingob and the whole bereaved family. We join the entire Namibian nation in finding solace in remembering an extraordinary man, politician and leader, His Excellency, Dr. Geingob.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us on our feed. On Saturday, the 24th of February, the official memorial service of the late Dr. Hage G Geingob took place at the Independence Stadium in Windhoek. Thousands of Namibians travelled from all across the country to witness and pay their respects to the late president. And as Namibia mourns the loss of our giant, we can stand strong knowing that our president believed in our nation, a nation united and a nation included. NTV will switch over to regular broadcasting now, and we will be live tomorrow at 8 a.m. as we lay Dr. Hage Geingob to rest at Heroes Acre. Have a good night.